Good morning, all, depending when you're watching this. Good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, Out of Voice Radio. So today, I'm going to be showing you another really quite fantastic deck list. This is a deck list with which Robin Schulz went and got third place at the Austrian Open. Now, this is a deck list built all around Darkrai, and a lot of people said that when Field Blower came out and Darkrai couldn't use Experience Share quite so easily, it wouldn't be any good. Well, Field Blower is out, and Robin basically proved that assertion wrong. Starting off then, we have got 4 of the Darkrai from Breakpoint, Darkrai EX I should say, and like we saw with Benjamin Pham's deck list a little while ago, just a few days back, this is really where it comes from. We do have the attack Dark Head here, which we can use to do 160 damage if the defending Pokemon is asleep, but of course that's not really the point of this particular deck. Maybe they'll end up asleep, but really that's you're not playing anything to put them asleep here. Really, it is all about the attack Dark Pulse. 20 damage plus 20 for each dark energy attached to all of your Pokemon. Now, unlike Benjamin's deck list, there is no Giratina here. This is a very straightforward, I am going to smash you with Darkrai list. It's also playing free of the baby Yveltal, hey Nick, and really here it's for the attack Oblivion Wing. You do 30 damage, and you get to attach a dark energy to one of your bench Pokemon from your discard pile. Now, this just helps to accelerate energy, and like we've said, it's all about getting energy on the field. Now, you can use Darkness Blade for 100 damage, and Yveltal only gives up 1 prize, which means you can try and force a 7-prize game here. Force your opponent to KO an Yveltal, and KO free Darkrai as well, so then they're essentially taking 7 prizes to win the game. Could be a little bit of fun, but really here it really is all about Darkrai. Now, the other Pokemon, we've got 2 Tapu Lele, and as with every deck, the colourless energy requirement means you can attack with Tapu Lele. You do 20 damage for each energy attached to both active Pokemon, so there is always the opportunity here for you to just pile energy on Tapu Lele, using the baby Yveltal, Max Elixir, EXP Share, etc., and then hit with Tapu Lele instead. And certainly if you're against a dark deck, and Robin did play a Lycanroc deck which he beat at the Austrian Open, then attacking just with Darkrai, who is weak to fighting, might be a problem, but Yveltal with the resistance and Tapu Lele with no weakness at all could be an option for trying to take those decks down. We also have a single copy of SUDOWOODO here, and SUDOWOODO here means that your opponent cannot have more than 4 benched Pokemon. Now, the retreat cost of 2 is awkward given that he's a bench sitter, but Ultra of the Moon, as we'll talk about in a minute, really does deal with that quite effectively. And here really, and this can do a whole bunch of things, but primarily it's here for Mega Rayquaza. Mega Rayquaza would be a huge threat to this Darkrai deck, because with Emerald Break, Mega Rayquaza can just get the KO with 6 bench Pokemon and free energy, and then could run through your entire deck. This would be a huge problem. So you have 1 SUDOWOODO that you put on the bench, and because these Rayquaza decks are so reliant on cards like Shaymin and Dragonite to set up and recover, it means that they can't really afford to play Ability Lock, which means that your SUDOWOODO is probably going to sit there all game, which is really, really handy. Without SUDOWOODO, you would have a big weakness to Rayquaza. With SUDOWOODO, it's quite nice, but it's not just here for Rayquaza. Even though you can deal quite nicely with having a few Pokemon on the bench, 2 or 3, most decks can't. You really just need 1 or 2 attackers with a bunch of energy, but your opponent needs more. And that's the issue here. You slow them down with SUDOWOODO, and then there's decks like Raichu, etc. So you really are just ruining a whole bunch of decks here. Although I should point out that one of the great things about Darkrai is that you only need 2 energy to attack. So you can be attacking with a Darkrai with 2 energy, while piling energy onto your bench Pokemon, and then when your active Darkrai goes down, you don't even lose many energy, so you're not losing much hitting power here, which really is quite a lot of fun. So there the Pokemon, the energy is very straightforward. 15 15 Dark Energy. Why do we want 15 Dark Energy? Because we want to hit all our max elixirs, more on them in a minute, because we want to be having an attachment every turn, because we want to be able to discard them to attach with our non-EX Yveltal. That's the thing here, ladies and gentlemen. We need the energy out, we need to be playing a lot of energy, it's consistency. And speaking of consistency, with the exception of 2 cards, everything else in the deck is a 4-off. In the Pokemon trading card game, you can play up to 4 copies of any one card, and that is exactly what Robin is choosing to do here. So, we've got 4 Ultra of the Moon. Ultra of the Moon reduces the retreat cost by 2 for any Pokemon that has Dark Energy attached, Darkness Energy I should say. And we've got SUDOWOODO, who's got a retreat cost of 2. And we've got the non-EX Yveltal that's got a retreat cost of 2. And we've got Darkrai, which has got a retreat cost of 2. See where we're going here, ladies and gentlemen? This basically gives you free retreats to all of your Pokemon, which is wonderful. We've got 4 copies of Professor Sycamore, because it's the fastest, most aggressive supporter in the format. Discard your whole hand, draw 7 cards, and of course, we want to be running through quickly, hitting our max elixir, getting our energy on the field. Not to mention, of course, that you can discard some Dark Energy, so you can then attach with non-EX Yveltal. 4 copies of N, because it's the second fastest, most aggressive supporter in the format. And yes, you can sometimes go a bit behind in prizes and then play the N to slow your opponent down and give them a low hand size. That's an option. But you know what? Really, this is about getting set up and sweeping. And I made a very similar point with Benjamin Pham's Darkrai Giratina deck a couple of days ago, and these are very different lists, which is why I'm showing you them both, and they both are superb lists. But the thing is that once you've got your Darkrai out and you've got all your energy, you don't need very much. You don't really need any more energy once you've got enough to sweep. You don't really need any more Pokemon. We want a fast deck, and that's why we're playing 4 Lysander here, because in the mid to late game you want to be able to just take bench prizes to win the game. You do that using your Lysander. Maybe you're running a bit low on energy, you've only got 6 energy on the field, you're only doing 140, that's okay, because you can just Lysander and KO a Shaman for the win. One Pokemon fan club here, and I really like this inclusion. This is just a good way to go and get what you need. You can go and search for your Darkrai, your Yveltal, your SUDOWOODO if you need to. If you really need to get a couple of Pokemon out, this allows you to do it. 2 copies of Versus Seeker. Now, Benjamin Pham in his list played 0, Robin plays 2. These are decks that don't need Versus Seeker anywhere near as much, because you've got your Sycamore and your N for the early game, you've got your Lysander for the late game. Versus Seeker still gives you that extra versatility here, still gives you access to, I mean, essentially this gives you 6 Lysander, because as soon as you've used 1, you can draw into a Versus Seeker. Honestly here, I don't know how needed the 2 Versus Seeker are, but I do know that in the late game when you really want those Lysander, having extra outs is really good. And certainly 2 extra outs to draw supporters, so you're essentially playing 10 rather than 8, is always a good thing. Finishing off with the rest of the items, we've got 4 Ultra Ball, because it's the best Pokemon search we've got. It can go for any of your Pokemon, but it also discards Darkness Energy, which you can use to attach with Baby Yveltal. Hey Nick, so that is really important to play. 4 max elixir, and this is where the 15 energy come in. I've told you many times that if you're playing 12 energy, you should expect to hit 3 of your 4 max elixir. Look at the top 6 cards of your deck, attach a basic energy you find there to a bench basic Pokemon. All your Pokemon are basic. 15 is going to give you a really good chance of hitting all 4 of these. That's 4 extra energy attachments. And then we're playing 4 EXP share, so that when your Pokemon get knocked out, you can move the energy to the bench. Now, I know that Field Blower is a thing right now, but here's the thing, it just means you need to play a little bit more carefully. Your opponent can play Field Blower, but most people will be playing 1 or 2 copies of Field Blower. So, yeah, they can get rid of it, but you just put 1 or 2 down at a time. When they're out of Field Blower, you can then put the other couple down and they're going to stick. It just means that you need to be a bit more careful, but make no mistake about it. Just because your opponent's playing 1 or 2 Field Blower doesn't mean you're getting no mileage from all 4 of your EXP share. And finally, for Choice Band, because Choice Band is amazing. 30 more to EXs and GXs. You need this, ladies and gentlemen. You need your EXP share on the bench, and you need your Choice Band attached to the active. And here's the fun thing here. You can put your EXP share down, your opponent gets rid of it with Field Blower, then you pop a Choice Band down to do a little bit more damage. This is a very, very straightforward deck list. This is a very straightforward deck. It sets up with Darkrai, it gets and keeps energy, it hits. That's all it does. That is the entire point of this deck. But I love this list because it's straightforward and it's consistent. And you play a few games with this deck and you will soon start to realise how straightforward and consistent it is. You can choose not to play a whole bunch of your items, and then you can beat something like Garbodor, because you got resistance as well. And let's face it, playing 4N with Versus Seeker, you can avoid your Sycamore, play a slightly slower game, and this wouldn't have a horrible Garbodor matchup here. So, something to bear in mind. Now, you know the deal, ladies and gentlemen. There is a comment section. Go nuts, be nice. There are buttons to both like this video and subscribe to this channel. Use them both, it'll make me happy. Don't forget that you can follow me on Twitter @TheWassy, and the most important thing as always, look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.